Okay, my friends, today we're going to talk about Benedictine. Yes, we're going to talk about this wonderful herbal, honey, sweet and aromatic French liqueur created by monks. Back in the days, we're going back to 1510. Yes, 1510. This is a long time, and still today, the liqueur, it's kept in a very top secret, the ingredients. I think it's only a few of them revealed, just kind of to give us a little bit, kind of a food for thought, let's put it this way. So, if you never tried Benedictine, or you maybe wonder what it is, I suggest stick around because I'm gonna go through the history of Benedictine a little bit, then we're gonna talk about the tasting, about the bottle, about the best way to serve it, about few other bottles which they offer, and we're gonna wrap it up so we're ready for the Thursday episode when I will be presenting a few cocktails with Benedictine. As many other old spirits or liqueurs in this case, the Benedictine history it's kind of have more myths than actual facts, and if you look on internet, if you try to find a lot of history about Benedictine, you may find few places which is gonna present pretty much the same facts which I'm gonna give you today. It's very weird because when you try to find, for example, Alexander the Grand, which is the person behind making this Benedictine and making available to the public, it's a very little about the actual guy, about the Grand family. Maybe, I don't know, in France maybe it's a little bit more information, but they're kind of a wealth family which I'm really surprised there's not much around them on internet. Also, if you look about the actual distillery or about the Benedictine Palace where this lovely liqueur is produced, again, you won't find much apart from other people, bloggers, or maybe just kind of a touristic information. Anyway, let's go to the Benedictine and talk about a little bit about the actual idea behind the Benedictine. The story begins in 1510 with a monk, with a Benedictine monk named Dom Bernado Vincelli from Normandy in France. So he was like back in the days, in these days, most of the monks was really kind of passionate about chemistry and creating tinctures and all these kind of recipes. And no difference here with Dom Vincelli. He was doing all this chemistry and trying to make different kind of medicines and tinctures and mixtures, and he recorded pretty much everything in his diaries or books. It's around 200 recipes, okay? And one of them, it's obviously the recipe which today we enjoy in this lovely bottle under the form of Benedictine. So the formula for this recipe, it's tend to revive tired monks, okay? So when they go and farm and do all their jobs during the day, that was kind of the idea, to have a sip and kind of give them a little bit boost and refreshment after the long day. So the last survived monk from the abbey passed the recipe to it's a secret recipe to Le Grand family. So Le Grand family, it's a very wealthy family from France, and Alexander Le Grand in this time, he decided to start producing this recipe and start bottling. Now he was very passionate about it, and he wanted to keep it secret and keep everything in place like the recipe. And if you look some of the history, or if you have chance to visit the Benedictine Palace, which I didn't have yet chance, and I'm hoping it's gonna happen soon, everything is produced like it's been produced back in the days. So nothing is revealed, everything is kept totally secret, and it's exactly the same procedure without any changes. The recipe, guys. Now, I wish I can kind of review the recipe, or I wish I knew. I mean, I won't be able to reveal it because obviously I'm gonna lose lots of money if I knew it. But that's leave it a joke on the side. Now the recipe is top secret, we know that, and as much I want to tell you more about it. I don't know much about it, but what I know is that, as many of the other people who loves Benedictine, we know that it's made from 27 ingredients. Now, a few of these ingredients it's revealed just a courtesy, so we know what's happening around it. But in general, there's 27 ingredients. So these 27 ingredients, it's separate in 4 groups. So each one of the groups then it's mixed with a neutral alcohol and is distilled. Some of them is distilled once, some of them is distilled twice. Okay, so we don't know which one of the groups, what is contained, and is distilled once or twice, but we know that that's what's happening. So the 4 ready group, it's called Is Spritz. Okay, no with the Z, Is Spritz. Yeah. So this Is Spritz, it's aged for 8 months. After 8 months, all these 4 groups are blended together, and also it's blended with honey for the sweetness, and we know the lovely honey flavor coming from the Benedictine, and they're blended of course with saffron. Now that's one of the ingredients which we know, saffron, and this is used for the color of the liqueur. Then when the blend is ready with the saffron, the honey and the 4 groups, the whole blend is double heated to finish the flavoring of the liqueur. After this, the whole liqueur is put for aging in the oak barrels for another 4 months. Then it's filtrated and then it's bottled. Okay, so pretty much you have 12 months of aging and then the filtrating and bottling before it came to the market in the way how we know it, in the bottle. Alexander the Grand ordered a very special glass bottle for this fantastic liqueur. So also Alexander the Grand managed to take permission to use the name. So he asked the Benedictine order in Rome if he can use the name Benedictine, and he was given permission. And not only that, but he was given permission to use the coat of arms of the Benedictine Abbey, which is here on the stamp. You can see it if you inquire a bottle of Benedictine. So in tribute to Dom Bernado Vincelli, which is the monk who created the recipe, he called the liqueur Benedictine. Now, do you ever wonder what it's DOM in the name of Benedictine DOM? Usually we say, oh, can I have a Benedictine or cocktail with Benedictine? But many people probably kind of skip this and don't even talk about it. But Benedictine DOM, apart from being named after the Benedictine Abbey and in tribute to the Dom Vincelli, the monk, DOM, it's also the Benedictine motto standing for Deo Optimo Maximo. Okay, Deo Optimo Maximo is translated as good, infinitely great. It also refers to the Latin word Dominus. Here you can see Dominus, which is translated master, and it's given to the Benedictine abbots. So there you have it. Before I go and pour some Benedictine for me and we talk about the testing and how to serve Benedictine, just let's recap quick. You have a lovely liqueur made from 27 herbs and spices mixed with honey, secret recipe. We don't know what's happened exactly, but we love it. It's made in France starting 1510, very old liqueur. The taste is sweet, herbal, spices. We're gonna talk about that. It's aged, and of course we will talk about how to serve it, but if you wanna kind of know in general, on the rocks or in a cocktail, it's fantastic. Another bottles of Benedictine you may find if you look around, it's the B&B. That's the first one, and it's probably the first ever premix cocktail bottle, if not the first, to be honest. I made the B&B in my last video with the brandy cocktails, so if you missed it, I'll pop card here on the top so you can watch it, or I will leave link in the description as well. But B&B is basically Benedictine mixed with a brandy. So it's definitely probably one of the oldest premix cocktails. In the 1930s, during the Prohibition in the United States, there was a barman in the Club 21 in Manhattan, and he basically came up with the idea of mixing brandy with Benedictine. Now it became so popular to the point that the actual Benedictine is bottling a bottle with the pre-batch cocktail inside with the brandy and Benedictine. And to these days, it's extremely popular here in the UK, for example. I don't know how it's around the world, but I guess to producing a bottle with a pre-batch cocktail still available, I mean, it's still very popular. And not only that, but you can use the actual mix to create other cocktails if you don't want to just drink it as it is, okay? The other bottle which they have is the Benedictine single casks. Now in 84 they release this cask. It's called single cask, Benedictine single cask. It's similar to the B&B, but basically what it is, it's mixing a French brandy with a Benedictine. That's all it is. So it's a little bit drier, and also it's aged for around 3 months in a small oak casks. Benedictine is basically as any good whiskey, but we talk about liqueur, okay? So what I mean with that, it's any good whiskey, if you want to kind of release flavors, you gotta drop a little bit of water or maybe put a cube of ice, which the chemical reaction, the water with the liquid or the spirit inside, it's making reaction and it's unleash and it's open more of the aromas and the flavors which usually you get if you just drink it straight up or neat, okay? That's why good whiskeys, for example, it's recommended sometimes to have a drop of water or even like a 1 piece of ice. Same with the Benedictine. If you drop a piece of ice or just the water a little bit, you will release so much of the flavor. And preferably get a big chunk of ice. So bigger the ice, better. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna use one of my clear ice cubes and I'm gonna pour some Benedictine. And this is all it is, guys. To enjoy a lovely Benedictine, that's all you need. It's just lovely cube of ice. Right. Ooh, gonna give it a little stir with my finger, just because I can. It just smells fantastic. It's I love this liqueur. Straight away you get this honey, spice, herbs, like a holiday feeling. You know, many people may associate it with Christmas, which nothing wrong with that. Christmas is just around the corner. I may do some Christmas cocktails with Benedictine. Who knows? In general, it's very difficult to describe the taste. It's a truly unique liqueur. If you look about something to substitute Benedictine, sorry to break it for you, but you won't find anything. Maybe many people will try to associate it with a Dram, which, you know, it's another favorite honey liqueur of mine, whiskey honey liqueur. But we talk here about honey liqueur based on whiskey, okay? That with the Benedictine is just simply liqueur. Herbal, spicy, honey liqueur, okay? It's not based on brandy or on whiskey or anything. So it's really difficult, in my opinion, to find anything which can substitute Benedictine. It's just wonderful, okay? If I have to tell you a secret, it's just wonderful. Many other herbal liqueurs may be tasting more on the herbal side, or maybe a little bit bitter, or maybe a little bit kind of earthy. With the Benedictine, that's not the case. None of the botanical inside of the spices, of the herbs, none of them is dominant. None of them is kind of a shouting, I'm the main ingredients. It's, yes, if we talk about the sweetness, yes, you can feel the honey, but that's the sweet part of the Benedictine. Apart from that, none of the other spices or herbs can be kind of identified as a dominant. And this is what I like about the Benedictine, because it's extremely well balanced to the point when we don't even know, or we can't even figure out what it's inside, because it's just made extremely well. It's one of the best liqueurs for me, and it's a wonderful ingredients for a cocktails, and a plenty famous cocktails it's made with the Benedictine, okay? So on top of my head, and one which many of you will know, this is the Singapore Sling, Okay, I'm not gonna go to other cocktails at the moment because I may spoil my Thursday video, which is gonna bring you a few cocktail recipes with Benedictine. But if you look for the most famous or kind of a wide world known pretty much by everyone, that's the Singapore Sling. And used in the cocktails, usually the Benedictine is not the main ingredients. It's always like a modifier or just complement something. There is a few which kind of a Benedictine taking a center stage, or it's nearly sharing the first, you know, the spotlights with another spirit. But in general, it's very nice to be kind of a modifier or add to a cocktails for a sweetness, for these herbal notes, for these lovely kind of distinctive aromas and flavors which you can mistaken. Okay, my friends, I'm off now. I'm gonna enjoy this Benedictine in my glass, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Show me some love, hit this like button, and if you're new to the channel, don't forget you can subscribe to don't miss any of the videos coming. This Thursday is coming cocktails with Benedictine. And I also have some homemade ingredients preparing for you, cooking around. So stay tuned for some wonderful kind of a wintry vibe syrups coming, so you can get ready for the upcoming holiday in time if you want to prepare these syrups. Apart from that, as always guys, stay safe. Thank you very much for watching, thank you very much for supporting the channel, and don't forget to check on Thursday cocktails with Benedictine. Okay, until then, as always, I love you and I leave you now. Bye bye.